The 117th Oscar nominations, what number is it? 85th Oscar nominations out this morning. Were all of you guys up?
Not me, no.
Good for you.
Matt and I were there.
I woke up early at 7:30. I gave myself an extra 20 minutes to read some stuff.
You mean your agent didn't call you to tell you, oh, I'm so surprised.
I used to get up early on my own volition because I gave a shit about this, and now that I sort of cover it, I could not care less.
So you woke up at a normal hour.
So the interesting thing was I was on a show last week giving some predictions, doing the stuff that I like to do, you know, looking at gambling odds already overseas. There was already money being taken even before the nominations. And I thought you go back to 2008 and this sort of titanic win that I said that accidentally, that Catherine Bigelow had beating James Cameron in Avatar. And then I thought the most interesting race is going to be Best Director again this year, that other categories seem more locked in, and here we go, Catherine Bigelow. This time she had to beat Cameron. This time she's going to have to beat Spielberg, and she's going to have to beat Affleck. This sort of rising, and that was like that was my take into the count as the most interesting race to watch. And so by far the most interesting thing is that
she doesn't have to beat anybody.
Right,
nobody has to try and beat Affleck.
Right, Affleck and Bigelow don't get nominations. It was a horrible, horrible nomination period for spying. Like, I mean, the CIA took a major hit. She doesn't get nominated.
MI5.
Affleck doesn't get nominated. Right, and Skyfall, there's 9 nominations. There's no nomination for Skyfall.
No one spies anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah, so this is a weird year in which the DGA nominations and the Best Director Oscar nominations do not line up. Usually it's a very tidy thing.
Only
it's very easy to figure
two of them
out.
line up.
Yeah,
like it's a big
Steven
separation.
Spielberg. But then something kind of cool happened where Ben Zeitlin got him for Beasts of Southern Wild, which is amazing, which is this little bitty film. It's his first film? It's his first film.
I think it is, yeah.
And he's up there with like Steven Spielberg. Right. So that's great. So good stuff happened today too.
I am less enamored of Beasts of the Southern Wild than a lot of folks. I think it's a technical achievement. I love the way it looks. I think there's a lot of great stuff in it. I'm thrilled that Kavanjane Wallace got nominated. I think she's great. Here's my problem with that movie. It is a film where, you know, usually when you have movies that are about children and about their insular worlds and their sort of illusions and their views of the larger scope of the world, the movie knows better than the kid does. In terms of, you know, the movie knows that what the kid believes isn't true. The kid believes its own thing. This movie could have been made by the kid. This movie assumes that what the kid's saying is true and that everything is exactly the way she sees it.
That's exciting.
But it's creepy because this is a movie. This is about an abused child who is living in like horrible circumstances and is constantly being told how great everything is and how how special she is. But she is trapped in shit, in literal shit.
She's resilient and a survivor, and her fantasy world fortifies her.
But towards what? Eventually, she's either going to become a whore on a barge or the cook for the whores on the barge.
Wow.
That's what the movie presents as her possibility.
Why can't she get out of the bathtub someday?
I would rather be the cook.
Wow, that's like a whole nother discussion. Wow, I'm thrilled that she got nominated. Though she was 5 years old when she auditioned.
No, I don't begrudge her anything. It's the movie. I think the movie is this sort of weird, like, white guy's decision to make horrible black poverty into magical realism, and that gives me the
No, I
creeps.
think it's a celebration of a place and time and a strength of a people, and it's not creepy at all.
What's interesting in doing the cursory research that I was able to do is that you can, now that we know that the people who weren't nominated for Best Director, Django got nominated for Best Picture, right?
But
Yeah,
not
not Tarantino.
So Django and Zero Dark 30 and Argo have basically no chance
And Les
to win
Mis
Best
as well,
And
right?
Les Mis.
This
Les Mis.
yeah.
I mean, they have no chance to win Best
because
Picture. None. It's happened.
What was the last one? Driving Miss Daisy? Was that
Right,
the one?
and before that, you got to go back to Grand Hotel.
Right. And
So I mean, it's happened 3 times, 2 of them in the first 5 years, and then nothing till
Well,
Driving
and
Miss Daisy.
the other thing too is that typically, you know, something like 27 times out of the last 30, the Directors Guild winner has ended up being the movie that wins Best Picture, right? And so now you've got 3 directors that don't match up. So that throws that predictor.
And now that they're past 5 Best Picture nominees anyway, there was never going to be an alignment.
But those things don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Although everyone's kind of believed that if you didn't get nominated for Best Director, then you were out. If your movie got Best Picture but not Best Director, forget it.
Yeah, well, it's right. It's only hit 3 times. That's only happened in the history of the Academy. And also, I also was doing yesterday before this came out, when the Directors Guild stuff came out, which I guess was a couple days ago, trying to figure out if anyone had not been nominated by the DGA and had then gone on to win an Oscar.
And has that happened?
Once.
Who was
apparently.
that?
John Huston.
Okay.
Treasure Sierra Madre, and it may have been because they considered it. The Directors Guild may have considered it as the previous year before they started. So that, which I think probably happened.
Whoa.
Right. So it just it doesn't. If you, so anyway, that to me, all of a sudden we're in a very narrow field if you apply those standards
Right.
as to what can win.
So what you're
Best
saying
Picture.
is the race is
And the
down
answer
to
is
Lincoln and Life of Pi.
I think,
Right,
no, this
yeah.
clears the way for Lincoln, I think, to win
See,
all his big
I think it's
prizes.
going to be Life of Pi.
Okay, why?
I think Life of Pi, which has 11 nominations compared to Lincoln's 12.
Yeah.
And it's, we should run the numbers. I mean, this is all obviously statistical BS analysis, but, has a movie won Best Picture without getting any acting nominations? I would say yes, because The Last Lord of the Rings did. So that's not unheard of. I think they're going to give it to him as the make good for, I think they're going to give it to Ang Lee as the make good for Brokeback Mountain.
No, I see this as a celebration of an industry veteran who's considered back at the top of his game after 20 years, and so Spielberg becomes this weird de facto kind of underdog favorite. Isn't that weird?
Has he won since Schindler's List or not?
He won for Saving Private Ryan,
Okay,
but then
right, yeah.
Shakespeare in Love won
got
Best Picture.
Right.
So I kind of see this as like the Lincoln, I know,
comically
right?
stupid
Right.
still.
This is like the Lincoln juggernaut is
Let us
full
not
force here.
rule out the Weinstein Company, who knows a thing or two about campaigning for this stuff.
Right.
Silver Linings Playbook,
Right.
it's up for Best Picture, it's up for Best Director, and in fact, the interesting factoid that you guys brought over from the Academy this morning, the first film since Reds to get nominated in all 4 acting categories, plus picture, director, and screenplay.
Yeah.
So that's 31 years.
There is that.
Right.
Granted, Reds of all those won only director.
But it's
still.
interesting you bring up Weinstein. Django got pushed out of a lot of things. Django Unchained did not get Best Director, no supporting nods for Leo DiCaprio or Sam Jackson.
Christoph
and
Waltz.
a lot of people were talking Leo DiCaprio was probably a favorite
It
there.
seemed that surprised. Although it didn't surprise me when you look at who was nominated, because you had to crack that top 5.
I think, but there's something about
and all those guys have won.
There's something about controversy that I think wigs out voters. I mean, again, it's like you don't want to fall in the trap of saying, "Oh, the Academy decided," because it's a million people voting and it gets aggregated, and then these are the results. But
remember when it was just white men? God, that was better.
Land property
last
owners.
year?
Right. But I remember that when Denzel Washington was in that movie, The Hurricane, and then there was all that stuff about how much of it is true and not, and that he got nominated but nothing else. And then I remember the following year, Universal, the same studio, put out Erin Brockovich, and they led the way in all the paper trail of look how real this is and how true we are and how much we followed the story, just to make sure that didn't happen to them again. And they,
So
they
maybe
won a bunch of stuff.
maybe that hurt. Maybe that hurt Zero Dark 30.
I think it hurt Zero Dark 30, and I think it hurt Django Unchained.
Well,
I
yeah.
think
And what about Argo? What about hurting Affleck? Because those stories existed. I don't know. They certainly didn't get the major play.
I don't know that Argo. I think Argo, they were so upfront about the fact that they were playing
They
fast.
tweaked
I think
that wasn't a big deal. I think Zero Dark 30 and Django Unchained. No, I'm just saying, in terms of the public perception that in some quarters somebody was complaining about it.
So there's this idea of controversy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I think part of it. I think there's probably been. I would be willing, not that you could prove this, but I'm convinced that there's a whisper campaign against Zero Dark 30.
This is exactly the story that I am writing as we
I'm
speak, which is going
absolutely
out in the
convinced
wire
of that.
tomorrow. Is does the investigation and the claims of inaccuracy, does that all hurt Zero Dark 30?
Well,
But here's one thing. Let me talk. God, let me talk for 2 seconds. The screenplay got nominated. Right? The thing people have a problem with, the script got nominated. Same with Django, same with Argo. The things that were tweaked and or potentially wrong got nominations today.
That's because I think, I'm going to make something up completely now, is
Please.
that the writers are far less influenced by that kind
The
of
writers
nonsense.
themselves don't care because they take liberties themselves or
No,
whatever?
they understand. Like, they get it, and they understand that it was a good, that they're
more pragmatic
They're
about
more
this.
pragmatic, they're more thoughtful, they're the smartest guys in the room.
Okay.
Didn't
So
somebody
I think
write an article this week comparing Catherine Bigelow to Leni Riefenstahl?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Seriously,
Yeah.
that's what's going on out there. It's crazy.